The sun bleeds out across the thatched roofs, the last warmth of it a brief kiss on your cheek before it's gone. You pull the wooden shutter closed, not with a bang, but with a soft, final scrape. Listen, ... Can you hear it? That's the sound of the day ending. And in my time, that sound means everything. It is the beginning of the long watch, the time when the world you know shrinks to the size of these four walls, and the world you fear grows to fill the rest. The air inside the house is already changing. It holds the day's smells, baked bread, sweat, the faint dust of milled flour, but now a new scent weaves through them. It's the smell of the coming night, a cool, damp presence that creeps in from the river and settles in the narrow lanes. It smells of wet earth and something else, the universal scent of countless evenings just like this one, stretching back through all the years you can remember. You can feel the coolness on your arms, a gentle warning. You turn from the window, and the light inside the single room seems to have thickened, turning from a clear gold to a hazy amber glow from the low fire in the hearth. The familiar shapes of your life, the spinning wheel in the corner, the rough-hewn table, the chest holding your few precious linens are beginning to soften at the edges, their daytime certainty blurring into evening suggestion. There are tasks still to be done, small rituals that stand between the safety of the day and the uncertainty of the night. You unlatch the back door, its bottom half already barred to keep the neighbor's pig from wandering in. Outside, in the small, muddy patch of ground that serves as your yard, 2 chickens are pecking at the last of their scattered grain. You shoo them gently towards the door with a soft chook-chook, and they scurry inside, their familiar clucking a small, living sound against the growing quiet. They will spend the night in the corner on a bed of straw, their warmth and presence a small comfort. Now for the front door. It is made of thick, heavy oak, split in two like most doors on this street. The bottom half has been latched for an hour, but now it is time for the top. You rest your hand on its worn surface, the wood smoothed by the touch of your hands, your husband's hands, day after day. With a soft groan from its leather hinges, you swing it shut, and the last sliver of the bruised purple sky is gone. The world outside is now only a sound. You slide the heavy wooden bar into its iron brackets. The solid, final thump as it settles into place is perhaps the most reassuring sound you will hear all evening. It is a full stop, an end to the sentence of the day. Just as the bar settles, you hear it. A voice, clear and strong, calling from the end of the lane. It's the town crier. 8 of the clock. He calls out, "Cover your fires and guard your homes. All is well." His voice moves past your door, his footsteps and the tap of his staff fading as he continues his circuit. Couvre-feu, the curfew. In order to cover the fire, to prevent the sparks that could consume a whole street of timber and thatch in a single, terrifying hour. But it is more than that. It is in order to retreat, to yield the streets to the watchman and to whatever else moves in the gathering dark. Your world, which just this afternoon was the whole bustling town, is now only this room, lit by the gentle, dancing light of the covered hearth. And as you stand here, in the dim, smoky air, you feel the great, silent weight of the night pressing in against the door, waiting. With the bar in place, a new kind of silence settles over the room. It's not an absence of sound, but a muffling of it. The world outside has been turned down, its sharp edges smoothed away, leaving only the intimate sounds of this little world you have created, your home. It is not grand, it is one room. Your whole life, your marriage, your children, all contained within these 4 walls. The floor beneath your thin leather shoes isn't made of wood or stone, but of the earth itself, packed down hard by years of living until it is dense and smooth. In the summer, you scatter dried herbs, meadowsweet, and lavender, and the scent rises with every footstep. But now, in the cooler months, you use reeds, their dry, grassy smell a constant companion. You can feel the room breathing around you. The timber frame, dark and heavy, seems to exhale the day's warmth. The walls are a mixture of wattle-woven branches like a sturdy basket and daub, a thick plaster of clay, dung, and straw. In the shifting light of the hearth you can see the texture of it, the faint ridges left by the hands that built it. This is the shell of your life, the fragile vessel meant to carry you and your family safely through the long, dark sea of the night. And the heart of this vessel, its one warm and beating center, is the hearth, but its pulse must be quieted. The crier's call still hangs in the air. Couvre-feu, cover the fire. This is not a suggestion. It is the law of the town and the law of survival. You have heard the stories, seen the blackened timbers of a home just 2 streets over that was devoured in less time than it takes for the church bell to ring the hour. The fear of fire is a living thing, a hot breath at the back of every citizen's neck. You pick up the iron poker, its handle worn smooth and cool to the touch. You approach the hearth, a simple stone-lined pit in the center of the room, a hole in the roof above to let out the worst of the smoke. The embers from the day's cooking and heating still glow with a fierce cherry-red intensity. They are beautiful, a source of comfort and life, but left untended, they are a sleeping dragon. You use the poker to gently, carefully, push the glowing coals away from the edges of the hearth, coaxing them into a small, tight mound in the very center. The light in the room shrinks with every push, the shadows on the walls growing longer, deeper. Once they are gathered, you take up the curfew pot. It's a heavy, bell-shaped piece of earthenware, thick and solid. It is designed for this single, vital purpose. Lifting it feels like an act of ceremony. You hold your breath for a moment, then lower it carefully over the mound of embers. It fits snugly against the stone, and the effect is immediate. The bright, dancing light is instantly snuffed out, replaced by a profound, deep darkness, broken only by the faintest red glow seeping from beneath the pot's edge. The room is not entirely dark. Your eyes, accustomed to the dimness, can still make out the large shapes. But the living light is gone. The dragon is caged. All that is left is its warmth, a gentle heat that will radiate through the clay and keep the worst of the night's chill at bay until morning, when you will lift the pot and find the embers still alive, ready to be rekindled. The quiet crackle of the coals settling under their new prison is a sound of safety, now, for the cold. The enemy that fire holds back. Even with the door barred, the night finds its way in. It comes in thin, icy whispers through the countless small cracks and gaps of your home. You feel a draft on the back of your neck and turn to the shutter you closed earlier. It does not sit flush in its frame. You run your fingers along the edge and feel the stream of cold air, a tiny, persistent messenger from the world outside. From a small wooden chest, you pull out a collection of rag scraps of old wool, torn pieces of linen, saved for this very task. They are soft and worn, each one holding a history of some other purpose. You begin your nightly ritual, a slow, methodical patrol of the room. You push the rags into the gaps around the shutter, silencing the whisper of wind. You find another crack where the timber frame has settled, and you stuff it tightly. It is a small, seemingly endless battle against the cold, a quiet act of defiance. Each piece of cloth you wedge into a gap is a small prayer for warmth, a tiny barricade against the vast, indifferent night. The house groans softly as the wind pushes against it, a low, mournful sound in the thatch above your head. But inside, with the fire covered and the drafts plugged, there is a stillness. A fragile, man-made peace. You have done all you can. You have barricaded your little world. Now, with the world outside shut away, your other senses begin to sharpen. Your eyes are of little use in the deep, velvety dark of the room, but your ears become your eyes. You learn to see the world through them. Lie still for a moment and just listen. The first thing you notice is the sound of your own breathing, a soft, rhythmic tide in the quiet. Then the breathing of your husband and your child sleeping nearby, each a gentle anchor in the darkness. This is the sound of life, the sound of your precious, fragile peace. But beyond it, the night has its own voice, its own symphony. You just need to learn how to listen to the parts. It begins with the bell. From the stone tower of the great church that dominates the town's heart, a single, deep note tolls. Bong, it rolls across the thatch and timber, a sound so profound you feel it in your bones as much as you hear it with your ears. This is the bell for Compline, the last of the canonical hours, the church's final prayer of the day. It is the voice of God of order, of a power far greater than the flimsy wooden bar across your door. It is a promise that, even in the deepest dark, there is a divine watch being kept. The sound is a comfort, a blanket of resonant iron and brass laid over the whole town, a reminder that you are not entirely alone. After the last echo of the bell has faded, a new sound emerges, closer this time. It's a rhythmic, scraping clatter on the cobblestones of the lane. Scrape, clack, scrape. It's accompanied by the low murmur of men's voices. This is the sound of the watch. Tonight it might be Thomas the Fletcher and young Robert, the cooper's apprentice. They are not soldiers. They are your neighbors, ordinary men tasked with keeping the peace between the curfew bell and the dawn. They carry a lantern, its weak, yellow light a tiny, roving star in the oppressive dark, and heavy staffs that they rap against the stones to announce their presence. Their duty is twofold. They are here to deter the footpads and burglars who use the cloak of night for their wicked work. But more importantly, they are the town's nose. They are sniffing the air for the first faint whiff of smoke from a smoldering ember that has escaped its hearth. They are listening for the crackle of a runaway flame. In a town made of wood and straw, the watch is less a police force and more a brotherhood of fire wardens. Hearing them pass is a complicated comfort. You are grateful for their presence, for the knowledge that two pairs of eyes are peering into the shadows. And yet, you know they are only two men, the lanes are a tangled web, and the darkness is vast. Their footsteps are a reassuring rhythm, but once they pass, the silence they leave behind feels even deeper than before. Every sound tells a story, doesn't it? A map of the life happening just beyond this door. The distant, lonely barking of a dog. The sudden, muffled slam of a shutter somewhere down the street, caught by a gust of wind. A moment of silence, and then a new sound, a man's voice, loud and slurring, raised in a song that has forgotten most of its words. It's someone stumbling home from the alehouse on the main square, a place that is supposed to be closed, but where a few coins can always buy another cup. The song is a thread of human disorder in the carefully woven fabric of the night. It is annoying yet familiar. It is the sound of a man who is a fool, but not a threat. Then a different sound slices through the night, thin and sharp. It is the cry of a baby from your neighbor's house, the one that shares your wall. It is not a strong, angry cry, but a weak, fretful whimper that speaks of fever or a pained belly. You find yourself holding your breath, listening. You hear the mother's soft, shushing voice, a low, desperate murmur of comfort. And in that moment, the entire town shrinks to the space between that mother and her sick child. Her fear is your fear. You whisper a silent prayer for them, for the child to see the morning, for the mother to find some rest. It makes me wonder, what are the sounds that make you feel secure in your own home, in your own time? It would be lovely to read your thoughts in the comments if you feel like sharing. Now, listen closer. Past the memory of the watchman's call. Do you hear that? The scuttling sound. Not all the night's creatures walk on two legs. It is a frantic, scratching noise from within the daub of the wall. Rats. They are the true citizens of the night. The owners of the dark spaces. Their unseen movements are a constant, unnerving reminder of the life that teems just beyond your perception, a life of decay. And survival that pays no mind to your barred door or your quiet prayers? This is a sound that sets your teeth on edge. It is the sound of intrusion, of filth. It is a sound that makes you pull the rough wool blanket a little tighter, a little closer to your chin. These are the sounds that the imagination feeds on, the sudden creak of a floorboard settling, the strange moan of the wind as it catches the edge of the roof. Was that the house groaning or something else? In the symphony of the streets, these are the notes of pure fear, the ones that remind you that the barricades you have built are, in the end, very fragile indeed. The scuttling sounds in the wall are a fear you can name, a pest you can fight with traps and cats. But they are also a key that unlocks a darker part of your mind, where the true, tangible fears of the night reside. These are not fears of spirits or shadows, but of things that are terribly real. Things you have seen or have heard told by trusted neighbors over a shared task. These dangers are the unholy trinity of the night: fire, thieves, and sickness. The first, and perhaps the greatest, is fire. You can still remember the night last winter. It wasn't even your street, but the smell carried. You woke from a deep sleep to a scent that was wrong, not the familiar, gentle smoke of a hearth, but something acrid, hungry, and thick with a chemical stench of burning thatch and horsehair insulation. You remember rushing to the shutter, pushing it open just a crack, and seeing the sky to the east was not black but a sickening, pulsing orange. The clouds above the Weaver S district glowed as if the sun were trying to rise in the middle of the night. Then came the sound, a low, distant roar, punctuated by panicked shouts and the frantic, high-pitched ringing of the church bell, not in its measured toll, but in a desperate, continuous alarm. You saw them then, men and women, shadows running in the dark, heading towards the glow. Some were half-dressed, carrying empty leather buckets. The Bucket Brigade. A desperate, hopeful line of humanity stretching from the nearest well to the heart of the inferno. You could almost feel their desperate hope, passing bucket after bucket into a maw that was too great to be quenched. You remember the terror that gripped you then, a cold hand squeezing your heart. The houses here are packed together like teeth in a jaw, all timber and plaster and dry straw. A fire, once it takes hold, does not just consume one home. It eats a street. It eats a life's work, every saved coin, every piece of furniture, every memory, turning it all to black dust and sorrow. You stood there, your husband beside you, both of you silent, praying for the wind not to change, praying for the rain that was not coming. That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak of your own house sounded like the crackle of a new flame. That is why you are so careful with the embers. That is why the crier's call is a holy commandment. Because the orange glow you saw in the sky is a vision of hell that is always just one stray spark away. The second fear is a more personal one. It can be triggered by the simplest sound, a dog's sudden bark, a loose stone clattering in the lane. In an instant you are wide awake, your body rigid, your breath caught in your throat. You strain your ears, trying to parse the sound over the frantic drumming of your own heart. Is it just the wind? Or is it a footstep? Is the scrape you heard just a branch, or is it the tip of a knife jimmying the doorframe? You think of the heavy oak bar lying across the door. It feels strong, but is it strong enough? In your mind's eye, you see it splintering. The fear of the thief, the footpad, the burglar, is the fear of a violent intrusion into your sanctuary. Your few possessions, the pewter plates your mother gave you, the wool blankets you spent a year weaving and saving for, the small pouch of coins hidden in the fat jar, the sum of your security. To lose them would be devastating. But the deeper fear is for your bodies, for your lives. You lie there, imagining a dark shape stepping over your threshold, and you feel utterly helpless. But then you remember the other side of it. You are not entirely alone. You know that if you screamed, truly screamed, a piercing cry of help, or murder, windows would fly open. Doors would be unbarred. Your neighbors, the burly blacksmith next door, the butcher across the way with his sharp knives, would come running. This is the unspoken pact of the Pacton urban life. We are all vulnerable, so we must be each other's keepers. The community is your final lock, your last defense. Knowing this does not erase the fear, but it allows your heart to slow, your breath to deepen. The sound does not come again, it was just the wind. This time. And then there is the third fear, the quietest and perhaps the cruelest. It does not come from without, but from within. It begins with a sound from the straw pallet where your child sleeps. A cough. In the daytime, it is a small thing, but here, in the absolute quiet of the night, it sounds loud, deep, and hollow. It is a sound that tears right through you. You slip from your bed, your bare feet silent on the cold earthen floor. You kneel beside your child, a small, warm shape under a woolen blanket. You lay your hand gently on their forehead. Is it warm? Is it warmer than it was when they went to sleep? You lean in close, listening to their breathing. Is it ragged? Is it too fast? Night is when the fever climbs. It is when the body's battles feel most desperate. And in the darkness, you are the lone sentry, the sole witness to this silent war. There is nothing to be done but wait. The apothecary, with his strange-smelling herbs and tinctures, is asleep behind his own barred door. The wise woman who lives by the south gate will not answer a knock after curfew. All of the day's remedies and resources are a world away on the other side of the dawn, and so you wait. You watch the small chest rise and fall. You listen to every breath, every cough, every restless stir, and you pray. Your prayers are not grand or formal. They are desperate, whispered bargains with God. Just let him be well in the morning. Just let this fever break. Let me take it from him and bear it myself. This fear is a long, slow vigil. It is the fear of a parent's ultimate powerlessness against the fragility of a small body. It is the hope, so fierce it feels like a physical pain, that your love alone can be a shield to help them last until the light returns. The vigil you keep for your child, the fear you hold for your home, these are heavy burdens. But they are at least burdens of this world. They are made of flesh and wood and fire. As the night deepens and the last sounds of the town die away into a profound, ringing silence, another set of fears begins to stir. These are the fears of the other world, the one that presses up against our own, its veil thinnest in the deepest dark. You know, as everyone does, that the night does not truly belong to men, it belongs to them. The wind that moans in the thatch is no longer just wind, it is a voice. The shadow that flickers in the corner of your eye is no longer just a trick of the low light, it is a presence. This is the time when the spirits of the dead are said to walk. Not all of them, of course. Most are at peace, sleeping in the hallowed ground of the churchyard until Judgment Day, but some are restless. The man who fell from the scaffolding while building the new Guildhall, dying without a priest to hear his confession. The woman who died in childbirth, her soul said to be caught between worlds. You hear stories whispered over sewing of people who have seen them pale, shimmering shapes lingering at the crossroads or weeping silently by the riverbank. You do not wish to see them. You do not wish for them to see you. You simply know they are there, part of the night's unseen population. Worse than the sad, wandering dead are the things that were never human at all. Demons, the servants of the devil, who are strongest when God's Son is hidden. The parish priest speaks of them in his sermons, warning of their tricks and temptations. They can whisper foul thoughts into a sleeper's ear, turning their dreams into terrifying nightmares from which they wake sweating and screaming. They can sour the milk, blight the grain, or bring a sudden, wasting sickness upon your livestock. They are malice given form, and the darkness is their kingdom. Every unexplained creak, every sudden chill in the air, could be a sign of their nearness. The fear they inspire is a cold, sharp thing, a fear for your very soul. And then there are the others, the ones the old folk still speak of in hushed tones, the good folk, the Fae. They are not of hell, but they are not of heaven either. They are the ancient inhabitants of the land, of the woods and hills that surround the town, and they resent our walls of stone and our church bells that drive them away. They are said to be beautiful and terrible, and full of mischief that can curdle into cruelty in an instant. A mother must never praise her baby's beauty too loudly lest the Fae hear and decide to steal the child from its cradle, leaving a sickly wizened changeling in its place, a creature that looks like a baby but is ancient and full of spite. You have heard of travelers who, taking a shortcut through the woods at dusk, have been led astray by strange lights, wandering for hours in circles only to find themselves back where they started at dawn, exhausted and terrified. These are not just stories. They are warnings. They are the reason you never throw your washing water out into the yard after dark without first calling out a warning, lest you offend an unseen guest. It is a world teeming with invisible dangers. And against this vast supernatural dread, you have your own defenses, you have your faith. It is not just a thing for Sunday Mass. It is your shield, your armor, your weapon. Your eyes adjust to the gloom and find the small wooden crucifix nailed to the wall opposite your bed. In the day it is a simple object, but now it is a sentinel. It is the presence of Christ in this room, a symbol of a power so great that no demon or spirit would dare to cross its shadow. It is a fortress for the soul. Tucked into the thatch above the door is a small sprig of rowan wood tied with a red thread. Your grandmother taught you that. She said it keeps away evil spirits. The priest might frown on such things, but you know that God created the rowan tree, and so its power must surely come from him. Before you finally settle to sleep, you perform one last ritual. You kneel on the cold floor, your husband beside you, and together you whisper the old, powerful words. Pater Noster, qui es in celis, Our Father, who art in heaven. The Latin words feel solid in your mouth, ancient and heavy with the prayers of 1,000 generations. Each word is a stone you are laying, building a wall of prayer around your family. Then the Ave Maria, gratia plena, Hail Mary, full of grace. You pray to the Holy Mother, a woman who knew the fear of protecting a sacred child. You ask for her intercession, for her to watch over your own children. Finally, as you lie down on the straw mattress, you make one last gesture. You raise your right hand, and in the darkness, you make the sign of the cross over your own body. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Then you reach out and trace the same invisible sign on your child's forehead as they sleep. It is a seal. A final, silent declaration of whose you are, and under whose protection you rest. It's a strange comfort, isn't it? To believe that for every shadow there is a saint. That for every evil spirit, a guardian angel keeps watch. Perhaps we all have our own versions of this. Small rituals or beliefs that get us through the dark. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to subscribe and join our quiet community here. Now, as the night deepens, let's settle in. The hour is late, and this is when the world feels thinnest. The world outside has finally fallen away. The last drunken song has faded. The watchmen have passed to the far side of town, and even the rats in the walls seem to have settled. This is the heart of the night, the deep, silent valley between midnight and the first hint of dawn. The air in the room is cool and still. The only light is a memory, a faint warmth radiating from the clay pot covering the embers. This is the hour when there is nothing left to listen for outside your walls, so you listen to what is inside them. You turn your head slowly on the straw-stuffed pillow, careful not to make a sound. Beside you is the solid, reassuring weight of your husband. His breathing is deep, and even the slow, steady rhythm of a man exhausted by a day of hard labor. His presence is an anchor in this sea of darkness, a quiet testament to a shared life, a shared struggle. You feel the warmth from his body, a comfort more profound than any blanket. On the other side of you, on the small pallet, is your child. Their breath is a whisper, a soft, milky sigh that is the most precious sound in the world. You can just make out their shape, a small curve under a woolen covering, one hand flung out as if reaching for something in a dream. They sleep with the perfect, thoughtless trust of the young, utterly secure in the belief that they are safe. And in this moment, your entire world, your entire purpose, is contained in the space between these two sleeping breaths. In this profound quiet, with the day's work done and the morning's work not yet begun, the mind is free to wander. And it often wanders down the well-worn paths of worry. This is the time for the silent accounting. You find yourself tallying up the coins in the small pouch hidden away. Will it be enough for the rent the landlord will demand next month? The price of grain was higher at the market this week. That means less for everything else. You think of the leather your husband needs for his work, the cost of a new pair of shoes for a growing child, the single penny you owe the alewife. These worries are like mice, nibbling away at the edges of your peace. They are the constant low hum of a life lived on the very edge of enough. You map out the coming weeks in your mind, a silent prayer that your husband's work remains steady, that no unexpected expense arrives like a thief to steal what little you have. From these earthly concerns, your thoughts drift to the child beside you. You pray they stay healthy. You remember the terrifying grip of the fever that took your neighbor's youngest, and the hollow look in the mother's eyes that followed. You pray your own child grows strong, that their legs will be sturdy and their mind will be quick. You think of their future. Will they find a good apprenticeship? Will they be happy? These are questions with no answers, seeds of anxiety you can only turn over and over in the dark soil of the night. It is a mother's burden to carry the weight of not just today's struggles, but all the possible struggles of a future you will not fully see. And sometimes, in this deepest part of the night, your mind touches upon the most intimate fear of all, a fear known only to women. You remember the raw, searing pain of childbirth. You remember the terror that was its constant companion, the feeling of your body being torn apart, the slick sweat of fear and effort. You remember the midwife's stern, encouraging face, and the desperate prayers that you and the child would both survive the ordeal. You have seen women who did not. You have attended the funerals of friends who died in the childbed, their new baby crying in another room, and that memory is a cold stone in your gut. The thought of it happening again, of having to face that trial, of possibly leaving your family behind, is a fear so profound it can steal your breath away. It is a vulnerability written into the very fabric of your being. This is the portrait of the night, a canvas of deep anxieties, painted in the dark. The fear of poverty, of sickness, of death. But it is not only that. Lying here, suspended in the silent heart of the night, you feel the weight of these worries, but you also feel the warmth of the body next to you. You reach out a hand ever so slowly, and your fingers brush against your child's small ones. Their skin is soft and warm. They stir but do not wake, their fingers instinctively curling around yours. And in that simple, trusting touch, something shifts. The anxieties, though still real, lose their sharp edges. The vast, frightening world of potential disasters shrinks, and your world returns to this small, warm circle of touch and breath. This is the ultimate sanctuary. It is not the barred door or the crucifix on the wall. It is this fragile, powerful connection, this love. This is the anchor that holds you steady. And holding on to it, feeling the slow, steady rhythm of your family's sleep, you finally allow your own tired mind to drift, to let go, to fall into the quiet, trusting peace of the dark. It is not a sound that wakes you, nor a touch. It is a change in the very texture of the silence. You drift up from the depths of sleep into a state of quiet awareness, and you notice it immediately. The darkness in the room feels different. The profound, ink-black weight of the deep night has lifted almost imperceptibly, replaced by a darkness that feels thinner, less absolute. The cold in the air has lost its sharp, biting edge and has softened into a simple morning chill. For a long while, there is nothing more than this, a subtle, internal knowledge that the long watch is coming to an end. You lie still, breathing it in, this feeling of a tide that has reached its lowest ebb and is now, ever so slowly, beginning to turn. Then comes the first true sound of the new day. It is distant, coming from a yard on the other side of the street. A single ragged, defiant cry, cock-a-doodle-doo, the rooster's call. It slices through the lingering stillness, a solitary note of brave, foolish confidence. There is no other sound in the world quite like it. It is not a sweet sound like the birdsong that will come later, but it is perhaps the most beautiful. It is the sound of life stubbornly announcing itself against the gloom. It is a promise. A few moments pass and another rooster, further away, answers the challenge. Then another, closer this time. Soon, a ragged, imperfect chorus is echoing across the rooftops. A chain of calls that are collectively pushing back the night, reclaiming the world for the living. You feel a smile touch your lips in the darkness. The heralds have sounded their trumpets. The sun is on its way. And as if summoned by the roosters, the second signal arrives. It is the sound of human order reasserting itself. The deep, iron tongue of the church bell begins to toll. This is not the solemn, final bell of Compline that sent you into the night. This is the bell from Matins, the first prayer of the day. Its tone is just as deep, but its message is entirely different. This is a call to rise, a summons to the monks in the nearby priory to begin their sacred duty. It is the town's clock, reset for a new day. Each resonant strike is a hammer blow against the fears of the night. The ghosts and spirits that wander the dark lanes cannot abide this holy sound. The demons that thrive in shadow must now flee before it. The bell tells you that the structured, predictable, God-fearing world of the day is returning, and the formless, chaotic world of the night is in retreat. The long, lonely vigil is over. And there it is, the first promise of the day. Your eyes, now fully accustomed to the dark, can see it. Around the edges of the wooden shutter, where you had stuffed the rags, a faint, razor-thin line of gray has appeared. It is not light, not yet. It is merely the absence of absolute black, but it is enough. It is the proof your soul has been waiting for. The darkness is no longer seamless. It has a crack in it, and through that crack hope is beginning to leak in. Did you feel that shift? The spell of the night is breaking? Every morning feels like a small victory, a quiet grace. If this journey through the medieval night has brought you some peace or comfort, I hope you'll consider sharing it with a friend who might also enjoy it. Your support helps us continue to tell these stories from the past. With that first hint of light, the fears that seemed so monstrous just hours before begin to shrink. They wither in the dawn. The dark corner of the room, which your tired mind might have populated with a lurking demon, is now just a corner holding the familiar shape of the spinning wheel. The memory of your child's cough feels less dire. You can hear their breathing now, and it is deep and even. The worries about money and food have not vanished, but they seem less like insurmountable mountains and more like hills that can be climbed. They are problems for the daytime, tasks to be met with work and wit, not anxieties to be suffered in helpless silence. The dawn brings with it a return of agency. It brings with it the strength to face the world you know, and releases you from the terror of the one you can only imagine. You slip quietly out of bed, your feet making no sound on the cold floor. You move to the door, and your hands find the heavy wooden bar. Lifting it from its brackets feels like a ritual in reverse. Last night, the sound of it dropping into place was a sound of finality, of enclosure. This morning, the soft thud as you lean it against the wall is a sound of release, of possibility. Then you turn to the window. You pull out the rags you so carefully stuffed into the cracks. Finally, your fingers find the latch on the shutter. You pull it open. The wood groans softly, a sleepy, waking sound. A rush of cool, damp morning air washes over your face, smelling of wet earth, wood smoke, and the clean scent of a world washed new. You lean forward and look out. The lane is deserted, shrouded in a soft gray mist. The sky above is the color of a pearl. It is quiet, still, but it is a hopeful quiet, a stillness pregnant with the bustling life of the day about to begin. You have made it. You have kept watch, and you have been delivered, once again, into the light. The gray mist does not last long. As you watch, the first true rays of sunlight slice through it, catching the motes of dust dancing in the air and turning them to gold. The light touches the damp thatch on your neighbor's roof, making it steam gently. The world, which was a moment ago a wash of gray and shadow, is now slowly being painted with color and warmth. The gift of the morning has been given, and with the light comes a new symphony of sounds. The lonely, defiant crow of the rooster is now lost in a rising chorus of life. You hear the rumble and squeak of the baker's cart, its heavy wooden wheels bumping over the uneven stones, leaving the warm, hopeful smell of fresh bread in its wake. From the edge of town comes the first rhythmic clang, clang. Clang of the blacksmith's hammer on his anvil, a steady, industrious heartbeat for the waking town. A door opens across the lane, and you hear your neighbor Elspeth call out a greeting. Her voice is cheerful, full of the simple business of the day. These are the sounds of purpose. The anxieties that felt so vast and monstrous in the dark now seem small and manageable in the light of day. The fear of having enough food is transformed into the task of kneading dough for the day's bread. The worry over a few pennies is replaced by the focus on the weaving that needs to be done. The night is for fear, the day is for work. You look out at the lane, no longer a place of unseen terrors, but a familiar path filled with your people, your community, your life. Each person emerging from their home is another small victory against the dark. Another soul delivered safely to the dawn. The night is over. The fears have been faced, the prayers have been said, and the light has won, as it always does. Thank you for keeping watch with me. May your own slumbers be peaceful and your own dawns be bright. Sleep well,